Hey everybody, welcome to Lessons with Troy. Well, in today's lesson, we're going over this diagram that I made for open D tuning called Useful Blues Pocket. And if we look at the diagram here, basically what we're doing is we're taking this simple pattern here that you'll see on this neck here, and then we're adding to it. So we're taking something very simple, and then we're kind of just adding a few more notes, extensions, etc. And it's all kind of made to be played, with blues or stuff that, can kind of have that bluesy sound. So the reason that I like this blues pocket is because our root note is here on our second string and our fifth string, as opposed to your standard kind of root position pattern. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. Show you the neck. So here's our root, second string, fifth fret. Now keep in mind, we're in open D tuning, D, A, D, F sharp, A, D, from your thickest to your thinnest string. And this is going to be in the key of D as well. So I'll just kind of improvise using this pattern to kind of show you what I mean here. So you get these patterns here where you've got your third and second string right on top of each other, the notes of that pattern, right? Stuff like this. We play it up the octave. Keep in mind we're on our third and our fifth fret here. 3 plus 12 is 15, I believe. So if we do that up here, up the octave, we can. Right, we get that kind of a sound, and then we can bring that pattern right into our standard home bass pattern with that root note on our sixth, fourth, and first string, right? 12th fret in the key of D and open D tuning. But I like this pattern. I like this pattern, this blues pocket that I'm showing you, because you get a lot of neat notes here in this open D tuning, right? Check this out. You got your fifth and your flat seven right on top of each other here. Let's move back down to our third fret, right? So you can go back and forth, thumb and middle finger there. Or you can move it up and play the sixth and the root. That works good for like a major kind of blues. And then here's your major third here on your first string, fourth fret. Now keep in mind, I always talk about moving that minor third, which is one fret behind the major third, moving that minor third to the major third, right there. Third fret to fourth fret. And a common thing that you'll hear people do is minor third, major third, resolve it to the root. That's one of the first things to learn in blues. Right? That sound. Now, if we move down to this neck here, you'll start seeing how I have these extensions written out, flat third to major third, and you'll probably start seeing too all these different colors, and you're like, well, what does all these different colors mean? Let's look at that. Okay, so in red, I have just your standard chord tones, your root, your thirds, and your fifths. Okay, D blues pocket. Let's go over here. Notice how I have D, F sharp, A. Root, R means root, root, third, fifth, right? Root, third, fifth. Now, in green, I have what's called passing tones. And then in blue, I have blues notes. Keep in mind, all these are bluesy notes, but compared to a major scale, what's in blue is a lot more bluesy, right? The flat third, flat fifth, flat seven. If you're playing a really pretty song, a lot of times you probably wouldn't want to put these bluesy notes in there, right? Although the passing tones, the fourth resolving to the third. Let's actually talk about that passing tones. What is a passing tone? Well, it's just like it sounds. You're not going to hang out on passing tones that long. They want to pass on to the nearest chord tone, really. So for example, if we go down here in green, we look at that fourth of the scale. Oh, play the fourth. Fifth fret, first string. It's like, that sounds kind of weird. But listen to it resolve. See how that resolves to that major third? Right? Play the sixth of the scale. Keep in mind I'm playing that low D as a reference note. So you can hear how that passing tone wants to pass on to the next chord tone. Sixth, resolve to the fifth. We have another fourth here, right? We can... Now let me play and resolve that to the fifth. See how it works either way? I could resolve it to the fifth, you see that there. Or if you know this note here, F sharp, that's my major third in the key of D, I could resolve that fourth, right, to that major third. Okay, then we come down here to this neck, and I add some more extensions, and I extend this pattern out on the first string. You'll see I extend it way out, but I add the ninth there. Now you might say, well, what's the ninth? Isn't that the second of the scale? It is the second, but because we're talking about blues, and blues has that flat 7 in there, a lot of times when you're talking about chords with like seventh chords and things like that, when you start adding extensions onto chords with the seventh in there, you jump up the octave and you call them ninths a lot of times. At least that's my understanding of it. That's how I think about it. So when I am playing blues and I play an E note, I call that the ninth as opposed to the second. When do I call things the second? A lot of times if it's like a folky thing and I just have a triad, meaning just your standard root third fifth 3-note chord, when I add, say, an E on there or something, maybe I call that the second. Or if it may replace a note of the triad, like maybe it's D, E, A, you don't have an F sharp in there, then that would be like a sus2, because that, right, like say if I did, or whatever, it might want to, maybe I'd want to resolve to the F sharp or bring it down to the E. But anyways, we're calling it the ninth when it's with the blues. Okay, so let's extend this out. Let's go back to this basic pattern, right? And let me just show you this first of all. You might say, well, how do you even play this? What do you... Well, keep in mind, this is just a roadmap of notes to choose from when you're playing a blues. Let's make the root note, let's make that our home base, right? That's where we want to come back to. So maybe let's start off and do play that fifth of the scale, first string, 7th fret. Now I'm going to slide in. Each time I'm going to get that sound of sliding into the major third, right? Slide into that major third, resolve it to my root. So fifth, major third, resolve to root. Okay, now. Now you don't have to play every note of this pocket. Let's put some flavors to these notes. Let's say we don't always play the 6th of the scale, right? So let's X that out for right now, and let's just play 5th, 3rd, root, flat 7, 5th. Just that pocket there. Now, if you can hear that, that's part of that minor, D minor pentatonic, right? Kind of ambiguous, let's say, more bluesy, because I'm going minor third to major third there. So, but that kind of gives you that bluesy sound. Use the 6th when you're really wanting that, that kind of swing kind of sound, or real major sounding blues. You can add that 6th in there. But what I like to keep in mind is in this pattern, root note on the 2nd string there, that thing there, that back and forth thing, thumb and index, thumb and middle, however you want to do it. Going back and forth, just those little ideas right there. That's your bread and butter of that pattern, right? Like ba boom bum. Like say you want to go root 6 root, root So see how that easy that is? Because that's right on top, right there. If I wanted to do something like that, let's say in a different position, let's say, say I wanted to do it way up here on that note there. For me to find a B note, I'd have to go either, it's an awkward jump, right? I'm having to move my bar a lot, right? Root, sixth, root, right? But in this pattern, that's why I love it so much, because it's right under your bar and it makes it. So that's kind of that thing there that you want to do where you do root, sixth, root, kind of a back and forth thing. Okay. Now, notice all these frets we have between our fifth and our major third. Well, let's slap some notes in there and put some numbers to them, and we get lots of cool, jazzy kind of chromatic things. And that's where you get these blues notes here. Flat 5 right there, flat third. So sometimes I'll like to do that fifth, flat 5, fourth, and ignore my bad singing too. Minor third, major third, root. Or you can go fifth, flat 5, fourth, but go back to that fifth, and then minor third, major third, root. Sounds like this. Now notice how I'm not really worried so much about the names of the notes. I'm more putting numbers to these sounds so that I can play them in any key, right? I lock in where my root note is in this tuning, and I put names, numbered names to these sounds so that I know what they sound like when I'm improvising. I know where I'm at number-wise, interval-wise, and I can start doing these different sounds and, right? Bum, root, six, root, right? And now this one I extended down the octave. Notice how I got a flat third, major third, root here. So first thing, when you're getting any tuning, get that minor third, major third, root thing going. That'll lock you in with the sound and something that's very useful. Notice it's in blue, very bluesy. Minor third, major third, root. Get that sound. Then do it here, up the octave. Then start putting in your chromatics. Fifth, flat 5, fourth, minor third, major third, root. Now, let's ignore the sixth right now, and let's go down to this one. Well, it's like, whoa. Let's ignore the ninth. Let's ignore the sixth. And check this out. I'm going to show you this cool scale. Minor third, major third, root, right? Minor third, major third, root. Flat 7, fifth, flat 5, 4, minor third, major third, root, right? Sounds like this. Notice how now I've got the chromatic that was up here, right? Fifth, flat 5, 4. I've got it here on my third string. Fifth, flat 5, fourth. Minor third, major third, root. So we can really extend this out. Right? And we know what we're doing. We know the intervals. We have a good grasp of this pattern. We know how to move it around. If we know what our notes are on our neck, we just lock that, whatever key we want to play in, lock that root note into that key, take this whole pattern here, shift it up or down the neck. Keys don't really matter. You just make sure you're on the right fret of the key that you're on, right? So what I did there, let me point this out. Fifth, flat 5, fourth, back to fifth, minor third, major third, root. Walk it down, flat 7, do the same thing. Fifth, flat 5, fourth, fifth, minor third, major third, root. I know it sounds like a lot. It sounds like a lot as I'm saying that, but it's pretty simple. Fifth, flat 5, fourth.